Tonight's big stories. The National Privacy Commission is set to conduct its investigation into the supposed data breach that compromised over 1 million records of law enforcement agencies. The NPC has yet to confirm whether there was indeed a data leak, but they suspect that it may have come from the database of the Philippine National Police. PNP anti-cybercrime spokesperson Michelle Sabino joins us later in the program to give us the details of their ongoing investigation.
The DICT is not budging on the April 26 deadline for SIM card registration, despite calls for an extension from telcos. The agency noted that while they have received extension requests, they are sticking with their decision. However, with just a few days left before the deadline, not even half of total subscribers have registered their SIMs.
And the Philippines is getting ready to join the world's largest regional trade bloc. The Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, takes effect in the Philippines June 2nd with an executive order in place formalizing the country's tariff commitments. We'll talk about what this free trade deal will mean for the economy.
From the nation's capital, I'm Gretchen Ho.
I'm Sean Yao.
And I'm Regina Lay. You are watching The Big Story Tonight. Good evening. The National Privacy Commission has yet to verify whether there was indeed a data breach that compromised over 1 million government records.
But the investigation is now focused on the Philippine National Police, as it is a suspected source of the supposed leak.
The NPC also warned other government agencies to not collect information that they cannot protect. Elaine Fulgencio with the big story.
The National Privacy Commission has met government agencies linked to the alleged data breach in a closed-door meeting this afternoon. A cybersecurity firm said 1.2 million records, equivalent to about 817 gigabytes of data of employees and applicants of government agencies, were leaked online. The alleged leak includes personal information such as names, birth and marriage certificates, driver's licenses, academic transcripts, and tax records. Experts fear that the leaked information could be used for different crimes like identity theft, phishing, or blackmailing of law enforcement units. Privacy Commissioner John Naga said they are working closely with the concerned agencies to thoroughly investigate the matter.
Based on sa report ni Fowler, this data leak involves both personal at saka mga sensitive personal information. So, yung mga tao pwedeng magkaroon ng identity theft.
However, the NPC has yet to confirm if there was indeed a data leak.
We can definitely say na walang breach sa NBI, CSC, and BIR. But as with regards to PNP, we're still verifying. They're also conducting their own investigation.
PNP Chief General Rodolfo Azurin Jr. said he has also asked the PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group to conduct an investigation regarding the matter.
So we just have to wait what happened at bakit napasok yung ating system.
The NPC is set to meet with a cybersecurity researcher tomorrow to determine the source of the said breach. On Monday, the Privacy Commission will have an on-site investigation into the online recruitment and selection process of the National Police to check potential liabilities.
Pwede silang maparusahan under the Data Privacy Act ng negligence. So, accessing personal information and sensitive personal information through negligence, or kung tinago nila yung data leak na yan, alam na nila, matagal na, tinago nila, pwede na silang maparusahan ng concealment. So, this is a criminal action, criminal prosecution.
This is not the first time that the Philippine government experienced a data breach. Back in 2016, the Commission on Elections was the victim of a hacking incident. And in 2019, it was the DFA that experienced a passport data leak. The NPC emphasizes the importance of safeguarding personal data to implement necessary measures and ensure the protection of personal information.
Sabi nga lagi, di ba? You only collect what you can protect. If you cannot protect the personal information, sensitive personal information, then don't collect.
The DICT says it's also conducting its own investigation into the supposed data breach. Let's bring back Elaine Fulgencio for more of the details. Elaine, what have you got?
Reg, the DICT believes that the supposed leaked documents were mainly records from the PNP database. In a statement, the agency says it considers the incident as grave concern that threatened the confidentiality, integrity, and privacy of user data. They add that the Philippine National Computer Emergency Response Team is already doubling down on its investigation on the matter. Reg?
All right, thanks for that update, Elaine Fulgencio. Now, to talk to us about their ongoing investigation, we have via Zoom PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group spokesperson Michelle Sabino. Michelle, thanks for joining us. Welcome to The Big Story. Let me get right into it. You heard the report that we just ran, but could you specify exactly what was included in the data breach? And are we talking records of private individuals here?
According to the article made by Polar, personally identifiable information were leaked. So those includes like fingerprint scans, required documents from multiple Philippine state agencies, DIN, birth certificates, scholastic records, TOR, IDs, and diplomas, and of course other court clearances. So those were the data allegedly leaked, according to Polar.
So we're just talking about private individuals in as far as they are applicants to the PNP and not like every, Juan or Maria out there, right? Just to make that clear.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the PNP, the ICTM is the data privacy officer of the PNP. So they are the ones in charge in the protection. And if in case there is really an investigation or there is really a reason to believe that there are leakage, information leaks or breaches, they are the ones who will be responsible to reporting this information to the Data Privacy Commission. And earlier today, they were called up. They were summoned by NPC, the ICTM, and Special Forces and other agencies of concern, where they were asked to explain. And come Monday, we will be doing an on-site investigation. So,
Ma'am, how have you identified already how the data was leaked, how the system was breached, and why was it so easy to hack into the system?
well, technically, generally speaking, each and every institution, like big institutions or establishment, have their own cybersecurity expert to actually take care of the yung mga disinformation. But there would of course be situations wherein sometimes the systems or the servers, there might have been vulnerabilities that were not detected earlier, or maybe the web server files have possible backdoors, or there may also be some unrecognized cPanel or VPN accounts, or there are unauthorized administrative privileges, which might be a cause for the data leakage or breach.
Ma'am, are you also looking to the possible angle that this was an inside job?
Inside job, I don't think so, because in general, the PNP with our we are very strict when it comes to information being released to the public, sensitive information. In this case, we would still be investigating further, although requests or suggestions, recommendations have been sent out already to check on the systems. If there are, they have to assess the vulnerabilities of the systems, whether or not there is indeed a breach.
Ma'am, you talked about vulnerabilities. Have you identified what exactly happened here? And I mean, medyo sensitive po yung information na nakuha po nila, birth certificate, that's TIN numbers. I mean, it's a big deal, I
Personal.
think. Oo. How confident are you that it will not happen again? And yun nga po, na-identify na po ba natin yung actual vulnerability na yun?
Well, yung cybersecurity ACG would be recommending. We have made recommendations already, but on Monday that will be the on-site investigation wherein papakita lahat. So, and then from then on we would do the investigation. That's when we come into the picture. So for now, yun lang. We're just following what we were summoned to actually the ICTM, not us. We're not included there with the summon. So it's just them, asking question on Monday. That is when we do the on-site investigation with them.
All right, we're going to check back in with you guys for an update to that investigation. For now, thank you for joining us, PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group spokesperson Michelle Sabino.
Moving on to rice prices in Metro Manila, markets going up just as the country struggles to beef up its buffer stock. Mobile journalist Julie Baiza with the report.
Rice prices are again on the rise in several markets in Metro Manila. In Paco Market in Manila and in Barangka Market in Mandaluyong, the price of well-milled rice has gone up to 40 pesos per kilo, while a kilo of premium rice costs 43 pesos. Expect to pay more for Sinandoming and Jasmine rice, with prices reaching as much as 50 pesos per kilo. Meanwhile, a kilo of brown, Mindoro, red and Dinorado rice averages 60 pesos. Small business owners said that rice prices goes up when unhusked rice or palay prices surge. Meanwhile, the Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura or SINAG said that since January, a kilo of palay cost 23 pesos up from the previous 19 pesos due to higher production cost. The increase in palay prices triggered a domino effect, and now consumers are left to carry the burden. But for a country that considers rice as a staple food, Filipinos are left with no choice but to tighten their belts and dig deep into their pockets.
Higher rice prices and not enough buffer stocks. Does this spell crisis for the government? Let's bring in Julie Baiza again to answer that.
Sean, President Marcos is confident that there will be no rice supply crisis. During a chance interview in Bulacan, he said that the government is closely watching rice production levels. President Marcos admits that we have low rice reserves at the moment, but he is open to sourcing from neighboring countries. It's just a matter of figuring out how much supply needs to be sourced out without compromising domestic supply prices. Sean?
Thank you for that, Julie.
Up next, the national government sticks to its April 26 deadline for SIM registration. With barely a week left till the deadline and less than half of total subscribers registered, what happens next? We'll discuss that and more when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
Welcome back. You are still watching The Big Story here on One News.
Individuals and even telcos are urging the DICT to extend the deadline for SIM registration, which is set next Wednesday, April 26. Shaila Francisco with the story.
Only 6 days left for Filipinos to register their SIM cards, but some subscribers like Jelay are still unable to register. She shares that it has been 2 days already, but the process is really difficult. Because apart from her TIN and school ID not being accepted, receiving the one-time password takes too long. Jelay is now worried, especially since she uses her phone for online classes and to buy things for her baby.
Walang wifi din sa amin, so data lang po. Yun, hindi ko alam paano po makaka-online. Mahirap din, may buntis din po ako. Hindi po ako makapag-shopping sa malalayo. So, online po.
According to the latest report from the DICT, only 44% of subscribers have registered. But despite the request of the telcos, the agency announced on Wednesday that there will be no extension.
An extension is something that is extraordinary. And we don't want to tell the public, you know what, you can lax because we will extend. Kapag kinotextualize mo, good news nga eh. So mula nung sinabi namin wala extension, gumaganda yung registration.
But the telecoms are appealing once more. Globe Telecom insists that an extension is needed to obtain a valid ID. That is also the view of Smart Communications. They pointed out that in other countries, a year is given to better facilitate SIM registration. Smart Communications added that they don't want to leave behind the remaining subscribers who are still unable to register. The Total community meanwhile said that while they are supporting the calls for an extension, they are also readying their systems for both an extension and non-extension. They are also confident that most of their subscribers would have already registered their SIM cards. For their part, the Trade Department is supporting the extension, especially since there will be a lot of benefits when everyone is registered.
If we really need registration, we need to be able to accommodate such deadline. Personally, I would go for it. SIM registration is very important as we move towards digital payments. If you're dealing with payments, you have to be sure, that the communication is coming from a well-known, a known source, rather than from an unregistered SIM.
The same sentiment was also shared by NEDA Chief Arsenio Balisacan, adding that this could further improve the government's public sector engagement.
What we are trying to achieve with this SIM is prevent all these scams and unintended uses of the technology. What we are at the same time pushing for is a faster digitalization of our economy, including engagement with the public sector.
All right, let's discuss this matter further with DICT Secretary Ivan John Uy. He joins us over the phone. Good evening, Secretary. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to The Big Story. Now, as we heard, the deadline is on April 26. Can you walk us through what the process is going to look like? Do SIM cards get deactivated immediately on that day if they haven't been registered?
Good evening, everyone. Well, actually, you're correct. April 26 is the deadline. And, the process basically would be when the deadline arrives, there is no longer an assurance on the part of those who have not registered as to when their units will be disconnected. It could be immediately upon the expiration of the deadline or a few days after, depending on when the telcos will be able to deactivate the lines. No, so each telco will have their own processes on the deactivation. So once it's deactivated, technically there will be a few days where the SIM card owner can still make habol their registration, even if it's already deactivated. However, that time period will again depend on the systems of each telco, how they will try to accommodate that kind of catch-up registration after deactivation. But the limit actually is just 5 days based on the IRR. And thereafter, they will no longer have any access to the line.
All right, so more or less a 5-day grace period, which we still have to clarify. But Secretary Uy, what then happens to those who are using their registered phone numbers as also their e-wallet numbers? What happens to the e-wallet money? How can they access it? Will the money just disappear, or how does this go?
Well, if their e-wallet is connected not through the SIM card, but let's say through their Wi-Fi or through their internet connection, then that should still be active. To give you an example, is let's say your e-wallet connected to your Apple Pay system. That is not SIM card dependent, and there, so long as you have your Apple account still active, you'd be able to access that. But if your e-wallet is connected to your SIM card, then you will no longer have access to your e-wallet.
All right, sir, less than half of the subscribers are currently registered, and given some of the identified problems have been information dissemination, not knowing how to do this whole process. What is the likelihood that this deadline will be extended?
It's a bit misleading, no, to consider the percentage based on the total universe of SIM cards that have been issued. Based on the total universe of about 168 million issued, the likelihood of a huge percentage of that, which are disposable prepaid SIM cards that have been used for scams and for telemarketing, expect is a huge number. So based on our conversations with the telcos, they feel that about 100 million, more or less, are most likely the active SIM cards that are really being used. And if we use that as basis, we now have about 78 million registered users. So we're actually at 78%, if that's the basis. It's not 40-something%.
It's rapidly evolving. We're going to check back in with you on April 26th, if you don't mind. The ICT Secretary Ivan John Uy, thanks for your time tonight. Meanwhile, the Communist Party of the Philippines confirmed the deaths of two of its high-ranking leaders, Benito Tiamzon and Wilma Austria Tiamzon. In a statement, the CPP claimed the Tiamzons were among the 10 people tortured and killed by the AFP after their capture in Samar Province in August 2022. The CPP also disputed the AFP's previous report that the Tiamzons were killed in a boat explosion. Benito was the chairman of the CPP Executive Committee, while Wilma was the party's Secretary General. The AFP, meanwhile, has yet to release a statement confirming the deaths of the Tiamzons.
After the break, the NEDA approves an executive order that would operationalize the country's tariffs commitment under the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. More details on that when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
Welcome back. You are still watching The Big Story on One News.
President Bongbong Marcos has approved an executive order that would enforce the country's tariff commitments under the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP. Under the RCEP, EO, at least 98% of over 1,700 agricultural commodities will remain in its current preferential tariff rate. The same goes for at least 80% of imported industrial products. The government said that some 33 remaining tariff lines, which include agricultural products, will see reduced tariff rates upon the EO's entry into force or through a period of 15 to 20 years. The EO takes effect June 2, coinciding with the Philippines' entry into RCEP. RCEP seeks reduced tariff rates between ASEAN nations and partner countries like Australia, Japan, South Korea, New Zealand, and China. It is considered the largest free trade agreement in the world, accounting for a third of global GDP.
And before we go, Eid Mubarak to our Muslim brothers and sisters who will be celebrating Eid al-Fitr tomorrow. Eid al-Fitr marks the end of Ramadan, which is a holy month in the Islamic calendar. During this period, over 1.7 billion Muslims across the world observe fasting and practice deep prayer. In observance of Eid al-Fitr, Malacanang has declared tomorrow, April 21, a regular holiday.
And that has been The Big Story tonight. For more updates, follow News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World online. You may also log on to onenews.ph for more in-depth analyses. I'm Regina Lay.
The Big Story is also available via Signal Play. Make a free account now at signalplay.com and stream One News anytime, anywhere. I'm Sean Yao. Stay safe, Philippines.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. We are One News, all sides, all the time.